Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Monday, July 4th, 2022. Happy 4th of July to all of you. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, I'm running my $15 MLB best bet. You can check it out at Pickdawgz Premium. Now, you may hear it in my voice, but I am feeling a little bit under the weather right now, so I'm going to try to get through these videos. Hopefully my voice doesn't go completely out. Bear with me. We're going to get through it together. Let's keep cashing tickets. Here are the games for Monday, July 4th. First up, we see the Washington Nationals hosting the Miami Marlins. Braxton Garrett and Patrick Corbin are your starters for this one. Now, it's been a pretty frustrating series for the Nationals thus far. A couple games that they had definitely a chance in that they blew, especially Sunday's game where they had a lead late. They blew it on a 2-run home run in the ninth. They were able to tie the games and extend it to extra innings, but winded up losing 7-4 in 10 innings. I do like the Nationals in this spot, though. When you've got two lefties on the mound, we've mentioned the Marlins have not hit left-handed pitching very well this season whatsoever. You look at their team OPS in the last 30 days, they're ranked 27th in baseball. In terms of isolated power, ranked 26th in baseball. And in terms of strikeout percentage, the Marlins are also in the top 10 for the highest strikeout rates against lefties. Now, Patrick Corbin has not had a very good 2022 campaign, but he's actually improving his game quite a bit since the beginning of the season. You look at last outing, he went 8 innings, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts against the Pittsburgh Pirates. His last 3 outings, he's given up 3 earned runs or fewer, so he's been improving his game. I think he's good enough here. I think the Nationals bats will back him up. Give me Washington on the money line. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Dean Kremer and Dane Dunning are your starters for this contest. Now, Dane Dunning, 4.09 ERA, but a 3.92 xFIP. He limits hard contact, limits home runs. He has a .92 home runs per 9 this season. So, and it's really his entire career, he's been able to limit the long ball. The strikeout numbers are a little bit down this season, but I do think this is a pretty good matchup for him. Facing the Orioles, a team that's ranked 24th in the last 30 days in WRC Plus against right-handed pitching. In team OPS, the Orioles are also in the bottom 10 at ranked 22nd, while the Rangers, their offensive numbers against righties in the last 30 days actually haven't been too bad. I remember at the beginning of the season, the Rangers could not hit righties at all, but they are improving their game offensively, and that's why they're only a couple games under 500 right now, and they're right at 500 on the road this season. I'm going to take a shot here with the Texas Rangers. We're getting a really good price with them. I'll take them on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Detroit Tigers in a doubleheader. We're going to see Zach Plesac and Garrett Hill in Game 1. We don't have an official starter listed for the Tigers, but we should see Cal Quantrill for the Guardians. Now, in this doubleheader, I do think we're going to see a split. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of doubleheaders betting-wise, as there's a lot of information that can change. But I'm going to take the Tigers in Game 1 and the Guardians in Game 2. You know, Zach Plesac's a guy that I am looking to regress as the season continues. I think his ERA will be well above 4 at the end of the season. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys, has had issues with the home run ball at times. He also walks a good amount of batters in his last few outings, giving up 2 walks or more in his last 3. Now, when you look on the other side, Garrett Hill making his major league debut in Game 1, he's actually got really good strikeout stuff in the minor leagues, double-digit Ks per 9 in the minors. Now, that doesn't always translate to the major leagues, but it's still a good sign to see. I think he's good enough here to give the Tigers a shot to win Game 1. And then in Game 2, I think Quantrill will shut down this Tigers lineup, and I'll take the Cleveland Guardians in Game 2. So Tigers in Game 1, Guardians in Game 2. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Boston Red Sox. This is a big-time AL East rivalry. We saw these two teams play in the postseason last year. Pretty fun series to watch. And now we're going to see Jalen Beeks and Michael Wacha as the projected starters. So Jalen Beeks more of an opener for the Rays. We know Kevin Cash is not shy in terms of going with openers. Michael Wacha, he used to be more of an opener when he played for the Rays, but now he is a starting pitcher in that Red Sox rotation. I'm not the biggest fan of his game, as I do think there's a lot of regression to worry about, especially with that 2.69 ERA. I think it'll be above 3.5 by the end of the season. Again, he doesn't strike out a ton of guys, 50 Ks and 70 in third innings. You look at his last outing back on June 28th, 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, only 2 strikeouts. He's given up at least 1 home run in 3 of his last 4 outings. At times, we've seen Wacha struggle with the walks as well. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays in Game 1 of this series. Next up, we see an NL Central rivalry between the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see a pair of lefties going at it. In this one, we're going to see Justin Steele, and we're going to see Eric Lauer. Now, Eric Lauer, I've mentioned he's basically one of the more volatile pitchers in the league. A power pitcher. He's going to strike out a lot of batters, 80 Ks and 78 in the third innings. However, with those strikeouts come the home runs. 16 home runs allowed already this year. That includes at least 2 home runs allowed in 3 of his last 4 outings. I don't really like this spot for him, especially at this kind of price. Justin Steele's a guy that, although he's had issues with the walks in this season and in his career, he is able to limit hard contact, limit barrel percentage. He's got 67 Ks and 69 2/3 innings, which isn't too bad for a guy that I would consider more of a pitch to contact guy. He had 6 Ks in 5 innings of 1 earned run baseball last time out against the Reds, where the Cubs were able to win that game 8-3. And we saw the Cubs compete in that series, this weekend series, against the Boston Red Sox. The Cubs won the first 2 games outright, and then on game 3, they forced extra innings. They weren't able to get the job done in the end, but still a very competitive series for Chicago. I'm going to take the Cubs here. They've been a lot better on the road than they have been at home. Give me Chicago plus the 1.5 in case this is a 1-run game. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Houston Astros. Jonathan Heasley and Jake Odorizzi are your starters here. Now, we saw Justin Verlander as the original starter listed for the Astros, but they do make the change to Jake Odorizzi. This is going to be his first start in quite some time for the Houston Astros, and I think this is a good matchup for him to get back into the swing of things against a Royals lineup that hasn't done too much against right-handed pitching this season. While on the other side, Jonathan Heasley, I think he is going to get teed off against this Astros lineup. We saw the Astros cover the run line the last time they faced Heasley as the starter. And you look at Heasley's last outing against the Rangers, 3 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, and a home run allowed. Previous start to that one against the Angels, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 2 homers. He is really struggling, giving up at least 1 home run in 4 of his last 5. Give me the Houston Astros laying the run line 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Carlos Rodon and Madison Bumgarner, another pair of lefties going at it in this one. Now, it was a downright embarrassing weekend for the San Francisco Giants. They were swept by the White Sox at their own park in Oracle Park, and the game on Sunday was a blowout loss where Austin Wynns had a pitch in the 9th inning, giving the White Sox a couple extra runs, 13-4 your final. This is a big series here for San Francisco. They're only 4 games up over 500 right now. They're only 2 games up over 500 on the road this season. They're facing a pretty pesky Diamondbacks team that have kind of flown under the radar in terms of a profitable team this season on the money line. I figured they were going to be one of the worst teams in baseball, but 35-44, not terrible for the team that on paper doesn't have a lot of talent to go through. But this rotation has been really strong. The bullpen has been hit or miss at times, but in this particular spot, you've got the weakest link, in my opinion, in the Diamondbacks rotation in Madison Bumgarner, and that's why I just can't get behind the dog here, as much as it may be tempting to, especially with the way the Giants have looked lately. Carlos Rodon in his last 4 outings has only given up 2 earned runs combined. He's faced the Dodgers, the Braves in that stretch, so he is pitching lights-out baseball, looking like a fantastic signing that the Giants made. He's had 105 strikeouts and 86 innings of work this season, while Bumgarner, although he pitched well against the Padres last time out, we've seen him struggle in the last 30 days. You could even stretch it to the last 50 days this season. I'm going to take the San Francisco Giants on the money line here and sprinkle a little bit on the run line as well. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Now, the Mets earned a big victory on Sunday. They were losing some grip in that NL East division standings. The Braves ended up losing to the Reds. The Mets earned the victory over the Rangers, so they grabbed another game on their division lead to 3.5. Big win for a Mets team that didn't have the best June. Started out this month of July, so. This is a big series here on the road. It's not going to be an easy one, in my opinion. This particular matchup, I do like the Mets just because Hunter Green, to me, is just not the type of pitcher I would want to face, or I would like to see against this Mets lineup, as the Mets are very patient at the plate. They don't strike out a ton. That's been one of the reasons why they've had so much success against right-handed pitching this season. They get on base any way they can, even if it includes a lot of infield singles. They don't strike out a lot. And Hunter Green, he needs those strikeouts to be successful. He's got 93 in 74 innings pitched, but he's allowed 20 home runs and 32 walks this season. I just can't trust him against the Mets here. In the last 4 starts that Green has made, the Reds have lost all 4 of those games, the last 2 losing on the run line. I'm going to take the New York Mets here in Game 1 on the money line. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the San Diego Padres. Chris Flexen and Sean Manaea are your starters here. Now, I think the Padres are big favorites for a reason. Sean Manaea is a left-handed pitcher. The Mariners have not been the best against lefties as of late. While the Padres are facing a righty in Chris Flexen that I do believe will regress quite a bit as the season continues. And the Padres have been very good against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days, where they're ranked number 9 in team OPS and number 7 in WRC+. I like the spot for the Padres bats. I think Manaea is good enough here for the Padres to win this game convincingly. I'll lay the run line with the Padres in this spot. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Atlanta Braves. This is going to be a very fun series to watch. Now, in Game 1, we see the Braves are big-time favorites, minus 150 plus here. Dakota Hudson and Kyle Wright are your starters. Now, I do like this matchup for the Braves bats against Hudson. I've mentioned it time and time again that Hudson's a guy that I am watching for regression. It seems like I'm saying it a lot for this video today, but Hudson's a guy that is now giving up 3 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 6 earned runs. Those are a few of his starts in his last 5 outings. And he's facing a Braves lineup that's crushed righties. They've crushed lefties. Their offense has just been very good in general in the last month or so. But on the other side, I do think the Cardinals offense shows up here against Kyle Wright, a guy in Kyle Wright who's giving up a lot of base runners lately. Now, last time out was a very good start against the Phillies, but you look at his previous outings against the Giants, 10 base hits, 4 earned runs. Cubs, 11 base hits, 5 earned runs, giving up a ton of base hits and a lot of base runners as well. I think the Cardinals bats, a lineup that's been very good against right-handed pitching themselves, I think they can get to right here early, and I think there's going to be a higher scoring game on the 4th of July. I think we see some fireworks here. Give me the over in the Cardinals-Braves. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Chicago White Sox. Dylan Bundy and Johnny Cueto are your starters for this contest. Now, this is going to be a game where I think neither of these starting pitchers decide who wins the game in the end. But I do trust the White Sox bullpen a lot more than I do the Minnesota Twins right now. I think the Twins bullpen is the only reason why Minnesota doesn't have a 6, 7, maybe even 8+ game lead in their division right now. The offense has been there, the starting pitching has been good, but the bullpen has blown so many games, especially against the team right behind them in the Cleveland Guardians. And this is another spot where the Chicago White Sox, starting to surge a bit, earned a sweep on the road against a formidable team in the San Francisco Giants. This is a spot where I think that the White Sox bats can get to the Twins bullpen late. I expect a close game early, but I like the White Sox to pull it out in the end. Give me Chicago on the money line. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Oakland Athletics. We see a big favorite here in the Toronto Blue Jays, minus 200 plus here, and I expect this line to keep rising in the Blue Jays' favor. This is a lopsided matchup on paper in terms of the lineups and bullpens, but especially this starting pitching matchup. Alek Manoah, the ace of the Blue Jays rotation, going up against Cole Irvin, a guy who's given up 8 earned runs and 4 home runs in his last 12 and a third innings. I think this is a bad spot for the Oakland A's. I think the Blue Jays get to Irvin early and often. When you look at the Blue Jays lineup, they're ranked 4th in the league in team OPS and 2nd in the league in isolated power against left-handed pitching in the last 30 days. And Alek Manoah, 9-2 with a 2.09 ERA. I do think that ERA will rise a little bit as the season continues, just because 2.09 is a little bit unsustainable. I would say a very bit unsustainable, but he's getting some strikeouts. He's limiting hard contact. He's not walking a ton of guys. He's pitching very well. Give me the Toronto Blue Jays here on the run line. In our final game of the night, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kyle Freeland and Julio Urias are your starters for this contest. Now, this is just a putrid spot for the Rockies, in my opinion. I think the books agree, as the Dodgers are now minus 280 plus favorites, and I expect this line to rise to the minus 300s before this game starts. It's just a bad spot travel-wise for Colorado and matchup-wise as well, but when you look on Sunday, they had to play at Coors Field. They had to play the Diamondbacks. Now they get no days off. They have to go right to Los Angeles. We've mentioned over and over that when any major league team plays at Coors Field and then moves on to a different stadium with no days off, it really takes a toll, mostly on the lineup. The pitchers, not necessarily because they didn't pitch, the starting pitchers at least didn't pitch the day before, but the lineup can really struggle. We've seen a lot of unders with the first game back from a road trip at Coors Field or a home trip for the Rockies, and this is a spot where I like the team total under for the Rockies. Even though they hit lefties very, very well, this is just a really bad spot for Colorado. And on the other side, the Dodgers, they're pretty frustrated after the series at Coors Field not too long ago, where the Rockies took it to them at Coors Field. They took the series 2-1. Now, Julio Urias has been super sharp for the Dodgers this season, 2.64 ERA. I think he's one of the more underrated, I would say, starting pitchers in the league right now. Just not a lot said about him. He goes out, gets you some innings. The Dodgers have won the last 3 starts that he's pitched in against the Guardians, Braves, and Rockies themselves. And Kyle Freeland, even though he's a much better starter on the road than he is at Coors Field, I just don't like this platform against the Dodgers. A lineup that has been a lot better against lefties recently than they were at the beginning of the season. This is just a miserable spot for the Rockies. I have to take the Dodgers on the run line and lean towards the team total under for the Rockies as well. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday, the 4th of July. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.